In a small, poor neighborhood of the city, the sun was slowly setting behind the old, cracked buildings. The streets were quiet, except for the soft footsteps of a young boy named Armin. His clothes were old and torn, and his small face showed worry beyond his years. Armin was walking fast, holding tightly to his mother's thin hand. She looked very weak, barely able to stand. Her face was pale, and her breaths were short and heavy. She was very sick, and they had no money for her treatment. The hospital was near, but the walls looked cold and harsh. Armin felt a deep pain in his heart. He wanted to help his mother, but he didn't have anything to give the doctors. He stood outside the hospital, looking at the big building with hope and fear in his eyes. "Please get better, Amma," he whispered softly. "I will do everything to save you." Armin's mother tried to smile, but her eyes were full of pain. She held Armin's hand and whispered, "Be strong, my son. God will help us." Days passed, but Armin's mother did not get better. Doctors told Armin that she needed expensive medicines and tests. Armin felt hopeless. How could he find so much money? He had no job, no home, and no one to ask. One evening, as Armin sat near the hospital garden, he overheard two men talking. They spoke about a rich man living in a big house in the city. His name was Mr. Shahid, a billionaire known for helping poor people sometimes. Armin's heart beat fast. Could this be a miracle? Could this man save his mother? Without wasting a moment, Armin stood up and decided to find Mr. Shahid. He walked many streets asking people about the billionaire's house. Some people ignored him, some laughed, but Armin did not care. His only thought was his mother's life. After a long walk, Armin finally reached a large, beautiful mansion. The gates were tall and shiny, and guards stood at the doors. Armin felt small and nervous, but gathered all his courage. He took a deep breath and walked up to the gate. "Please, I need to see Mr. Shahid. My mother is very sick. I have no money for her treatment." "Please help me," Armin said with a trembling voice. The guard looked at him with surprise. "This is a private place. You can't come in without permission," he said firmly. Armin's eyes filled with tears. "Please, just tell Mr. Shahid. My mother is dying. I have no one else to ask." The guard hesitated. Something about the boy's voice touched his heart. After a moment, he nodded and allowed Armin to wait in a small garden near the house. Minutes later, a man in an expensive suit came out. He was tall, with gray hair and kind eyes. This was Mr. Shahid, the billionaire. Armin stood up quickly and walked toward him. "Sir, please help me. My mother is very sick. We have no money for her treatment. I beg you, please save her," Armin said, his voice full of pain and hope. Mr. Shahid looked at the boy carefully. His face was serious. "I am very busy," he said, turning to go inside. "No, please," Armin cried out. "She is my only family. I have no one else. Please help me just this once." Mr. Shahid stopped but did not speak. Armin waited, his heart pounding. After a long silence, Mr. Shahid looked down and said quietly, "I will think about it." Armin's hope rose like a small flame, but he knew it was fragile. Days passed. Armin returned to the hospital every day, waiting for news. He prayed silently that Mr. Shahid would remember his promise, but no one came. The hospital bills kept growing. Armin's mother grew weaker. Armin felt his heart breaking into pieces. One evening, sitting alone on the cold floor of the hospital corridor, Armin closed his eyes and whispered, "Please don't leave me. Don't leave Amma." Tears rolled down his cheeks, but he did not give up. He wiped his tears and stood up. "I will keep trying," he told himself. "I will not lose hope." Outside the hospital window, the city lights twinkled like stars. Somewhere in the big house, Mr. Shahid sat in his quiet room. Armin's words echoed in his mind. For Armin, the night was long and dark, but in his heart, a tiny light of hope still burned, waiting for a miracle. Days passed, but Armin's heart was full of hope and fear both. Every morning he stood outside the hospital, praying for his mother's health to get better. But his mother's condition did not improve. She was weaker than before. One afternoon, while Armin was sitting on a bench near the hospital, a kind-looking man noticed him. The man was dressed neatly and had a warm smile. "Hey, little one," the man said softly. "Are you okay? Why do you look so sad?" Armin looked up and hesitated, but seeing the kindness in the man's eyes, he whispered, "My mother is very sick. I have no money for her treatment. I asked a rich man for help, but he has not done anything." The man's face changed. "Which rich man? Tell me his name." "Mr. Shahid," Armin said. "I begged him to help, but he said he was busy." Man nodded slowly. "I work for Mr. Shahid. I am his assistant. Maybe I can help you." Armin's eyes widened in surprise. "Really? You can?" "Yes, come with me," the man said, standing up. Armin followed the man through busy streets until they reached a big office building. The assistant took Armin inside and introduced him to Mr. Shahid. The billionaire looked at Armin carefully. There was a softness in his eyes that Armin had not seen before. "Why did you come to me, boy?" Mr. Shahid asked in a low voice. "My mother is very sick," Armin said quickly. "I have no money. I begged you for help." Mr. Shahid was quiet. For a moment, then he said, "I have many requests, but I will listen to your story." Armin told everything, the struggles, the hospital bills, his mother's pain. His voice was small but full of hope. After listening, Mr. Shahid stood up and said, "I will help. We will arrange everything for your mother's treatment." Armin felt a sudden rush of joy. "Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." But just then, Mr. Shahid's phone rang. He answered quickly and his face changed. He looked worried. Armin waited, confused. Mr. Shahid ended the call and said, "There is a problem I must handle, but I promise your mother will get help." Armin nodded, but saw something strange in Mr. Shahid's eyes. A secret sadness he could not understand. As Armin left the office, he felt a mix of hope and fear. Would Mr. Shahid really keep his promise? Or was there something else going on? That night, Armin sat by his mother's bedside. She smiled weakly, sensing the hope in her son's eyes. "Amma, help is coming," Armin whispered. "I will not give up." Outside, the city lights shone bright. Inside a large house, Mr. Shahid stared out the window, lost in thought. A secret from his past weighed heavily on him. The story was far from over. The next morning, Armin woke early with hope. In his heart, he dreamed that his mother would soon be healthy again. But in the back of his mind, a question lingered. Why had Mr. Shahid seemed so worried yesterday? Meanwhile, in his grand house, Mr. Shahid sat alone in his study. The room was filled with old photographs and dusty books. His hands trembled slightly as he looked at a faded picture of a young woman and a little boy. That boy looked a lot like Armin. Mr. Shahid's eyes softened, but pain filled his face. He whispered to himself, "Why did I have to leave them? Why did I stay away for so long?" Years ago, Mr. Shahid had a family, a wife and a son. But fate had taken them away from him. He had lost everything in a terrible accident, and since then he had shut himself from the world. Armin's plea had stirred something deep inside him, a feeling he thought he had lost forever. Back in the hospital, Armin sat quietly beside his mother. She smiled weakly and said, "My son, whatever happens, always be brave." Armin held her hand tightly. "I promise, Amma, I will find a way." Suddenly, a nurse came rushing. "There is news for you, Armin. Mr. Shahid's assistant has arranged an appointment for your mother. We can start treatment tomorrow." Armin's heart jumped with joy. "Thank you," he said softly. But later that day, as Armin left the hospital, he noticed a man watching him from the shadows. The man looked serious and spoke quietly. "Be careful, boy. Some people don't want your mother to get help." Armin felt a chill. Who was this man? What danger was coming? Back at the mansion, Mr. Shahid picked up his phone. "Prepare everything," he ordered quietly. "No mistakes this time." The billionaire's calm face hid a storm of secrets and dangers that were about to change Armin's life forever. The hope of a new beginning was shining. But darkness was not far behind. The morning sun filtered through the hospital windows as Armin waited nervously. His mother's treatment was about to start. Hope was growing in his heart, but so was fear. Outside, the city moved on, but Armin felt like time had stopped. Meanwhile, in a quiet room far from the hospital, two men sat talking in low voices. One was the man Armin had seen the day before, the one who had warned him. "They're getting too close," the other man said angrily. "If the billionaire helps that boy's mother, our plans will fail." The first man nodded. "We cannot let that happen. We must stop them before it's too late." Back at the hospital, Armin's heart pounded as doctors prepared for his mother's treatment. Suddenly, the assistant of Mr. Shahid arrived with good news. "Your mother's operation will happen tomorrow. She will be fine." Armin smiled, but a strange feeling crept inside him, like something was wrong. That evening, Mr. Shahid sat in his study again, looking at old files. His phone beeped with a new message. "Watch your back. They are watching." He knew the dangers were closer than ever. The next day, as Armin sat beside his mother in the hospital bed, a shadow moved near the door. The man from the shadows tried to sneak inside. But just then, a nurse saw him and called security. Armin's eyes filled with tears. "Why are they trying to stop us?" he whispered. Mr. Shahid arrived soon after. "Don't worry, Armin. I will protect you and your mother. No one can harm you." But deep inside, Mr. Shahid knew this was only the beginning of a bigger battle. Secrets from the past, hidden enemies, and danger loomed over them all. Would their hope survive the storm? The hospital was quiet late at night. Armin sat beside his mother's bed, holding her hand tightly. Her breathing was steady now, but the fight was far from over. Outside the hospital, Mr. Shahid was busy in his office. He was planning every detail carefully. He knew the enemies were strong, but he would not let them win. Suddenly, there was a knock on his door. It was the man who had warned Armin earlier, the one who had seemed suspicious. Mr. Shahid looked at him carefully. "Why are you here?" he asked. The man sighed deeply. "I used to work for the people who want to stop your help, but I can see now they are wrong. I want to help you." Mr. Shahid was surprised but nodded slowly. "We need every ally we can get. Tell me everything you know." The man explained the plan to stop Arman's mother's treatment. They wanted to scare Arman and Mr. Shahid so that the treatment would stop. Meanwhile, Arman noticed a nurse talking quietly with a man he had never seen before. The man smiled warmly at Armin and said, "Don't worry, young man, we are here to help." Armin felt a small spark of hope. Maybe he was not alone in this fight. That night, as Armin closed his eyes beside his mother, he dreamed of a future where she was healthy and smiling again. But danger was still near, and the battle was far from over. The sun rose over the city, but Armin's world was filled with worry. His mother's treatment was ongoing, but danger was closing in fast. Mr. Shahid and his new ally planned carefully. They knew the enemies would try to stop them again. That day, Armin returned to the hospital with hope but also fear in his heart. As he entered the room, his mother smiled weakly. "Thank you, Beta," she whispered. Suddenly the lights flickered and the door creaked open. Two men stepped inside quietly. They looked dangerous. Before Armin could react, the nurse from before stepped in front of him. "Stay back," she warned loudly. The men paused but did not leave. They said coldly, "We are here to stop this treatment. Your mother must leave." Mr. Shahid arrived quickly with security. "Not on my watch," he said firmly. A tense moment passed. The men realized they were outnumbered and backed away. Arman's heart pounded, but he felt brave. "Thank you," he said to Mr. Shahid and the nurse. Mr. Shahid smiled. "This fight is not over, but together we can protect your family." That night, Armin prayed harder than ever. The battle was just beginning, but he was not alone anymore. The hospital room was quiet. Machines beeped gently beside Armin's mother. Doctors moved carefully, preparing for the final phase of her treatment. Armin stood at the window, watching the sunrise. For the first time in days, the light gave him peace. He whispered to himself, "Please, just let her live." Mr. Shahid arrived with coffee and a gentle smile. "How are you holding up, Arman?" Arman nodded, scared, but hopeful. Hours passed. The doctor finally stepped out of the room. "It's done," he said with a smile. "She's going to be okay." Arman's eyes filled with tears. He rushed to his mother's side. Her eyes opened slowly. "Beta," she whispered. Mr. Shahid stepped back and wiped his eyes too. It was the moment they had fought for. But just when things seemed calm, the unexpected happened. The police walked into the hospital. The same men who tried to stop the treatment had been arrested. Mr. Shahid's ally had given full proof to the police. Everything was over. Outside, reporters gathered. They had heard the story, the poor boy who begged a billionaire to save his mother. One reporter asked Mr. Shahid, "Why did you help him?" Mr. Shahid looked at Arman and smiled. "Because money is useless if it can't save a life. That boy reminded me what truly matters." Arman held his mother's hand tighter. He looked up at Mr. Shahid and said, "You didn't just save my mother. You saved me too." The story spread everywhere. People were moved to tears. Donations poured in for families in need. Mr. Shahid started a new foundation in Arman's name. And as Arman walked out of the hospital holding his mother's hand, the world felt brighter. A poor boy's desperate plea had not only saved a life, it had changed many more.